Peace, peace. Welcome back. This is what I call Rational Lens Podcast. And I'm your host, Men Kepfara, a.k.a. Rock Barzini. One of my monarchs. Got many names. But right now I'm coming to you as Men Kepfara. That's my spiritual name. And when I'm in this zone, that's what I go under the title of. So we was talking about Larry Fink, and this is part 3, right? In part 2, we talked about Larry Fink, BlackRock taking over the Federal Reserve or bailing out the Federal Reserve, right? We talked about Donald Trump and him going bankrupt 6 times and owing $1.8 billion in debt. And he was in debt to the Rothschilds. And so the reason why he became president was they put him there because they can use him as their puppet because he owes them. He's in debt to them, right? And through a guy by the name of Wilbur Ross, who worked for the Rothschilds for 24 years, he the one that helped Donald Trump manage his bankruptcy. Matter of fact, William Ross, they called him the king of bankruptcy, meaning that he was so nice and skilled in money that he helped people get out of bankruptcy. And he worked with Donald Trump. But he also was connected to the Rothschilds. And this is how Donald Trump got connected to the Rothschilds and was able to get money from the Rothschilds and was able to come out of his bankruptcy. But he had to work. So they put him to work to become president. So he's definitely a puppet for those Federal Reserve Zionist Jews. And he's carrying out their agenda. That's why you see him working with Israel, wearing the yarmulke, converting over to Judaism. Because he knows who his loyalty is to. It's to Israel, those Zionist Jews that control America. And how they control America? They control America through the voting. They buy the government. These Jews got enough money to buy our government. And so our government get enough money from Israel, billions of dollars from Israel, so we can carry out their agenda. Donald Trump is nothing but their puppet. Matter of fact, his wife and his son-in-law are Jews. You understand? So these Zionist Jews have their grips on Donald Trump, and he's carrying out their agenda. People like the Rothschilds, people like Larry Fink, who owns BlackRock, people like Elon Musk. Donald Trump is just their puppet, right? So Larry Fink, when I left off, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, he became a co-chair of the World Economic Forum. He's part of the board of trustees, right? He sits in that position with Andre Hoffman, right? And he was appointed in August 2025. So him being appointed to the WEF, which is the World Economic Forum, and this forum is where all the big millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires come together and they decide on the economic agenda of the world. Right? So let's read what the World Economic Forum is. Give me 1 minute, because this part right here is going to blow your mind. Right? Pay attention, because this is going to blow your mind, and this is going to tell you who's really in control and power. Right? Because it's all about the money. Money is power. And whoever got the most money in the world, and the most guns, and the bigger army, and the bigger tech, and the advanced technology to run the world. All that takes money, right? It says the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is an international advocacy, non-governmental organization, and think tank. Keyword is think tank. So the World Economic Forum is a think tank where your millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires come together and they put a strategy together on the economic agenda of the world, right? Based in Colony Canton of Geneva, Switzerland. It was found on 24th of January 1971 by a German engineer called Klaus Schwab. Now, Klaus Schwab is real important. I'm going to read his history off before I go any further, because what this man is tied into is going to tell you who runs the world and why Donald Trump is who he is and who he's connected with. And that phrase, MAGNA, Make America Great Again, what type of people are behind that phrase, right? So let's read about Klaus Schwab, right? Klaus Martin Schwab, born 30th March 1938, is a German mechanical engineer, economist, and founder of the World Economic Forum, WEF. He serves as the WEF's chairman from 1971 until his resignation in 2025. And then Larry Fink takes over, BlackRock, right? Says this is a think tank. The World Economic Forum is a think tank where your millionaire, billionaire, and trillionaires come together to influence world economics. And I just read to you that BlackRock, Larry Fink, he deals with blockchain. He deals with cryptocurrency. This is digital money. Dealing with computers, right? We're going to talk about quantum financial system or quantum financial economics, when they start dealing with these quantum computers, these supercomputers, and using these supercomputers and data to crunch numbers to the point where they can predict the future of what's going to happen before it happens. This is what the whole thing of dealing with quantum computers and this thing of what they're dealing with, what they call quantum financial system. But let's get back to talking about Klaus Martin Schwab, who was the chairman of the WEF from 1971 until his resignation to 2025, and then BlackRock, Larry Fink takes over, right? It says, Klaus Schwab, early life and education. Klaus Martin Schwab was born on 30th March 1938 and Eugene Wilhelm Schwab and Erica Epperich. I probably butchered his mother and father name, but William Schwab and Erica Epperich, right? In Ravensburg. His parents had moved from Switzerland to Germany, right? During the Third Reich. Who was part of the Third Reich? Adolf Hitler. His parents moved from Ravensburg, right, to Germany during the Third Reich. This is when Adolf Hitler was going on, right? The Nazi Party, right? Right? The Third Reich, right? The Nazi Germany. And later the German Reich was the German state, right? Between 1933 and 1945, when Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party controlled the country, transforming it into a totalitarian dictatorship. What is the totalitarian dictatorship? It's the same thing as globalization. It's the same thing as a New World Order. This is the type of thing that Larry Fink, Donald Trump, and those that run the Federal Reserve, they're really Nazis. right? They're really Nazis. I know I said that they're Zionist Jews, but a Zionist is a revolutionary political organization that Jews back behind. Remember, Jewish is just a religion, but what they really are Germans that morphed into Jews and took on the Judaism umbrella. And they're moving like Zionists, which is a political, radical organization, meaning by any means necessary, they'll get the job done. Right? This all stems from Nazi Germany. The Third Reich, right? Adolf Hitler, the Nazi Party controlled the country, transforming it into a totalitarian dictatorship. Right? Totalitarian dictatorship. The Third Reich means the Third Realm or the Third Empire, refers to the Nazis claiming that Nazi Germany was the successor to the early Holy Roman Empire. Right? The successor to the Holy Roman Empire. Why? Because it was the Germans, the Indo-Germans or your Indo-Aryans who invaded the Roman Empire. And once they took down the Roman Empire, then they filled that vacuum. Right? So your Indo-Germans eventually became the Holy Roman Empire. That's why when we talk about the federal, which comes from the word federatio or foedus, which means somebody that made an alliance with Rome. Who made the alliance with Rome? I keep on telling y'all. The Indo-Germans or your German barbaric tribes that came from Central Asia into Europe. And they went to war with the Roman Empire. And they brought down the Roman Empire, and then they took on the costume of the Roman Empire after they conquered it. So when we talk about the Germans and the Third Reich and Nazi Party and Adolf Hitler and them creating a totalitarian dictatorship, this is what we're talking about. And when we talk about, when they say right here, the Third Reich means the Third Realm or the Third Empire, referring to Nazi, claiming that Nazi Germany was a successor to the early Roman Empire, 800 to 1806. And the German Empire, 1871 to 1918. So when we talk about the Roman Catholics, we're talking about the Nazis. We're talking about Adolf Hitler. We're talking about a totalitarian dictatorship. Right? What's the symbol? The symbol of the Nazi is the eagle. What is the symbol of the American symbol? It's the eagle. You see it there on the dollar bill. They use the swastika as they cross. Right? We use the regular cross. Only thing they did was bend the end straight. But if you take the Nazi symbol and you bend the end straight, you got the Christian cross. So the Holy Roman Empire is the German Nazi Third Reich Adolf Hitler agenda. And this guy by the name of Klaus Schwab, his parents was a part of that. So that means that was his agenda too. And he was the chairman of the World Economic Forum. Right? Which is a think tank where your millionaires and your billionaires and trillionaires come together to strategize about the economic agenda of the world, what direction they're going to push it in. A new world order, which is going to be digitalized based on a neo-Nazi totalitarian dictatorship. But this time it's going to be digital with computers, automation, internet, microchips, robots. This is what Elon Musk is adding on to it with the whole Neuralink and the robots. This is what they're bringing in. It's going to be a neo-Nazi agenda, but it's going to be digitalized. And we're going to be under the lockdown. So let's go back to Klaus Schwab, right? Said his parents came to Germany during the Third Reich in order for his father to assume the role of director of Esker Weiss AG, an industrial company, and contract for the Nazi regime. So his father was running contracts with the Nazi regime, which is Adolf Hitler. So that means that his father supported the Adolf Hitler agenda. Klaus Schwab's father was running contracts with the Nazis. So that means that Klaus Schwab, who was the chairman of the World Economic Forum from 1971 until the resignation in 2025, right? He's a Nazi. He believes in the same thing. That means that BlackRock, Larry Fink, believes the same thing. That means that Donald Trump believes in the same thing, because the magma, right, make America great again. Who are the people that's behind it? Who are the people that's supporting it? Your white supremacists, right? These are your white supremacists, which comes from out of the neo-Nazi Adolf Hitler ideology, the white supremacy. That's Adolf Hitler, Nazi party, right? Because what Adolf Hitler was trying to do, he was trying to create a super race, which was known as the Aryan race or the Nordic race, blonde hair, blue eyes. Right? That's white supremacy. So when we talk about MAGA and Donald Trump and the people that's supporting him, these are white supremacists who hate black people, and they want to see America great again, meaning that they want to see white supremacy in its full gist. And that's what the Adolf Hitler ideology is about, white supremacy. And creating a superior race, a Nordic superior race, blonde hair and blue eyes and white skin. This is what it's about. The Ku Klux Klan comes from out of the Nazi thing. Right? These German Nazis who were a part of, who is the successor of the Roman Catholic Church. Adolf Hitler was a Roman Catholic. A lot of people don't know that. That's why through World War I, World War II, through World War I, Adolf Hitler went through Germany and globally trying to take over, but he never touched the Roman Catholic Church, right? And there's even a book out called, what's the name of the book? Adolf's Pope. Give me 1 minute, because I got to get this book. It's called Hitler's Banker, right? Give me 1 minute. It's a good book. It's called Hitler's Banker or Hitler's Pope, I think it is. Hitler's Pope. I think that's the name of it. Let me bring it up, because this is a good book. And I want y'all to read it. Yeah, Hitler's Pope, The Secret History of Pius the 12th. Right? Hitler's Pope. Right? Hitler's Pope is a book published in 1999 by the British journalist and author John Cromwell that examines the actions of Eugenio Pacelli, who became Pope Pius the 12th before and during the Nazi era, and explored the charge that he assists in the legitimization of Adolf Hitler Nazi regime in Germany through the pursuit of a right concordat in 1933. This book is critical of Pius conducting during the Second World War, arguing that he did not do enough or speak out enough against the Holocaust. Cromwell argues that Pius' entire career as the nuncio to Germany, Cardinal Secretary of State, and Pope was characterized by a desire to increase and centralized the power of the papacy, and that he subordinated opposition to the Nazis to that goal. He further argued that Pius was an anti-Semitic and that his stance prevented him from caring about European Jews. So that's the name of the book, Hitler's Pope, The Secret History of Pius the Ninth. Not Pius the Ninth, Pius the 12th. It's written by John Cornwell. And Pope Pius the 12th, he was Adolf Hitler's Pope. So when we talk about the Nazis being, the Germans being a successor to the Roman Catholic Church, when you read this book, Hitler's Pope, you're going to understand what it's all about. Your Pope, the Vatican, the Jesuits, they're Nazis. Because the Germans invaded the Roman Catholic Church and took over. And then later on, the Nazis of Adolf Hitler, white supremacy, is all there. The symbolism, the swastika is the cross. All you got to do is bend the ends. The eagle of the Nazi party is the same eagle of America. So your Christians and your Nazis are the same thing. That's why you have something called the Ku Klux Klan. You understand? So I'm going to come right back and finish giving you the rest. This is the end of part 3. Stay tuned. I'm hitting y'all with part 4.